Greetings, Chummer, and welcome back to another RIT90s recap. This time we have episode 34, Halls with Great Feasts. A special note, this is actually the last episode of season 1 of Running in the 90s. It's truly unfortunate that it was lost to the birds, but I hope you enjoy the recap and stay with us while we get everything prepared for the release of season 2 on YouTube. But in the meantime, you guys are always welcome to tune in on Tuesdays at twitch.tv/thenat20show. After opening the data cube and entering the passphrases, a hologram appears of a wiry Ares scientist who introduces himself as Steve. Steve, the DM, proceeds to explain to the party that it is time to take the fight out of the game and into real life as they proceed toward the cave's exit. In the recording, he explains what the group will find at the space on the map labeled Dungeons and Catacombs, and tries to explain away the fact that he wasn't there to join the original party of Ares scientists at the beginning of their escape. After listening to this message, the Neon Knights finalize their plan of attack against the bug spirit larva, planning to use the Aegis to cover Lancelot, Merlin, and Gawain while they attack the bug in Meatspace, as Mordred and Kay attack its astral form, with Percy and Arthur providing ranged support. Mordred and Arthur force the airlock doors open as Lance, Merlin, and Gawain rush in front of the larva to release the Aegis. With everyone in position, Lance makes a preliminary strike against the bug spirit with his Tetsubo. Mordred then draws his pistol that he obtained from Unihide to deal magic damage to the larva's spirit form. However, he is overcome with some internal magical effect and retches blood before ducking against the wall for cover. Kay then takes a moment to summon her wind spirit, Gale. As the bug spirit tries to body slam Lance, it gets covered in the Aegis' own fluorescing astral bacteria. Enraged, the larva tries to grapple Lance with its pincers, but it is unsuccessful against Lance's strong defense. Merlin takes the opportunity to use Percy's katana and slice into the larva's side before Percy uses Mordred's machine pistols to fire against the bug 7 times. Arthur runs into the room with Excalibur switched into railgun form and forcefully mounts it to the wall. He jacks in using his tentacles, and his physical body now lies limp in Meatspace. Gawain, seeing where Lance injured the larva's side, strikes at this weak point. With Gale summoned, Kay instructs him to confuse the grub and hopefully prevent its future attacks from hitting their mark. Lance winds up and delivers another hefty blow to the bug's side, and Mordred, trying to recover from his sudden illness, lines up his gun against Percy's and fires another shot at the spirit before losing himself to another coughing fit. Taking a cue from Mordred and Percy, Kay also attempts to hit the bug at a distance with her slingshot, but fails. The bug, in retaliation, launches a projectile composed of electrified mucus at Kay. However, Lancey uses his Tetsubo to bat it out of the air, the spray landing instead on Merlin and Gawain. The bug spirit then tries to grapple Merlin with its pincers. Gawain attempts to block the attack, but it still successfully manages to trap Merlin and launch her across the room and down into the chasm below. Merlin attempts to use her windbreaker as a parachute to slow her descent with little success. She careens into the wall and, using that position to her advantage, stabs Percy's katana into the wall to stop her from falling any further. Somehow, she manages to hang on. However, the party looks across the room in stunned silence, thinking Merlin just fell to her death, since she was covered in the fluorescing astral bacteria and unable to cast a spell to slow herself down without exposing herself to its harmful effects. Percy swears under her breath and fires at the grub another 7 times. With his railgun successfully mounted and a large supply of silverware, Arthur launches a terminal assault against the bug spirit, effectively reducing its physical form to a lifeless pulp. However, we're not out of the woods yet. Even with the body exterminated, the spirit's form still remains in the astral plane. Merlin's last-ditch effort manages to pay off as she is left dangling a couple dozen feet above the cavern floor. Lancelot abandons his assault on the spirit to channel his magic into the ground and create a platform for her to hold onto out of the rock. Merlin then hangs down off of the platform and prepares to drop to the ground below. Gawain, troubled by the thought of the bug's unseen spirit form, slashes his sword through the air against seemingly nothing. Gale flies down into the chasm and materializes in Meatspace in order to help Merlin to the ground, as Mordred shoots a final blast against the bug spirit. The bug spirit, already partially consumed by the Aegis' fluorescing astral bacteria, dissolves into the ether. With magic coursing through him, Mordred doubles over as he feels his skin and bones begin to burn. As the party regains their composure and begins their descent into the chasm to rescue Merlin, Merlin takes a moment to inspect her surroundings. In the large cavern, she sees what appears to be a derelict chapel, the stone pews partially crumbled and weathered by time. The smell of decay and strangely salt water fills her nose as her eyes settle on a large black orb that emits a faint green light from the symbols engraved in its side. The same symbols that they saw on the data cube and in Arthur's grotto. Against the far wall, she sees a large poem carved into the stone in Elvish. From their comlinks, Mordred and Arthur are able to plainly see the same poem from the Seattle sewers and the underside of the Delilah. This is what that poem reads. 5 knives into the night, but knights with kits for 6, and doors of the lord of a foreign shore, kicked inward for his sins. 100 knights for petty plights, the sun it sets for thee. Days alive, champions 5, determined surgeons with an uncertain burden. Have patience and faith, old ones still wait on covenants sworn of. Ye who would challenge the lords must take up the sword, woe and pity unto him. From felling the beast to halls with great feast, dulled grew the blades that they were carrying. Whence from dead, beast reared head, no keys nor knight knew their weapons. Pen now with care our tragic affair, learn from my failure, ye all. Dragon breath is not glory, but death, and 7 ancient stations of power are his. Wakens each night, again to our fight, hope to end days. Thanks for tuning in, chummers, and always remember, never forget that the birds do in fact work for the bourgeoisie. We'll see you next season.